Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the BroadBoys podcast. I'm Cade. This is Micah. Hope you all are doing so well. It's getting cold, at least for us at the time of recording. So make sure you guys are staying warm unless you live in the tropical climate, in which case, screw you.
Stay cool.
Yeah. Anyway, sound the alarms. Wee woo, wee woo. A video game strike is happening. This time, it's not vocation based like it was for VFX workers or devs. Now it's time for the companies to show out, the unions
Yes.
to come out. And it is this time with Bethesda. Well, really, it's their parent company, ZeniMax.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. They're striking. They're doing it against the evil Microsoft Corporation. Yeah.
Ooh.
I know. It's crazy. Micah, do you got any, like, you originally brought this up to me.
Absolutely.
What's going on?
Well, basically, they're striking because the workers say that Microsoft is holding them to unreasonable working standards. Two big things. One, Microsoft said unequivocally they are going to be moving, quality assurance work overseas.
Yes.
So they were going to be shifting that away from the actual company, and they were going to outsource it. The second thing was they were going to force all of their designers to come back into the office for some reason, for a completely digital working environment.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. I personally, I have mixed feelings about it. It's not exactly as black and white as like screw Microsoft. Well, screw Microsoft.
Yeah, first off,
screw Microsoft. But I mean, I think I don't know. I think you're doomed from the start when you get bought up by Microsoft. I mean, that's kind of like it's kind of how it goes. It's acquire, embrace, and then extinguish. You know what I mean?
the big fear I have with quality assurance getting shipped out is that you don't have the direct connection with the actual development team.
Okay, but here's my thing with that is that people are talking about they want their remote jobs, but then also they don't want their quality assurance outsourced. I mean, you're remote.
You're kind of stuck with it. I get that.
I don't know. I thought that those two things in particular were really weird to strike against at the same time.
I do think it's interesting that Microsoft wants to outsource one of its sub companies' work.
Okay,
I understand they're a parent company. They own them, right? But shouldn't Bethesda do what works best for Bethesda?
Well, I mean,
I feel like, Microsoft can outsource Microsoft's work if they want to. That's on them. I feel like if the team you're outsourcing doesn't want that, you're kind of overstepping.
Yeah, but they bought them. They get to overstep. All right, listen, I'm not saying like, oh, they should, but I'm like, they have the right to overstep.
Yes, I completely understand. They bought them out. They have the complete right to do it.
And Bethesda agreed to getting bought out. So, it was kind of, that's on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They get bought out by Microsoft. They're gonna decide what you're gonna do.
Which is why they're striking.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it is a union feature, like from ZeniMax. So and ZeniMax owns not just Bethesda, but all like the id Software, Arcane, all that sort, and the same people that did Elder Scrolls Online.
Yep. They really just hold the IP and the parent company over the ones who've developed that IP. So if you know a company that's created some sort of Elder Scrolls thing, it's likely owned by yeah.
I don't think it's going to be successful, unfortunately.
I don't think they really think it's going to be successful, especially since the union put a time limit on how long they were going to strike.
Yeah, I saw that too. It was like they'll strike until 6 p.m. I'm like, did we not learn anything about the strike summer of 23? Like, you just got to keep going if you want it to actually happen. But I feel like they don't want it to
They're just trying to make a statement that they don't approve of it.
Yes.
I think they understand they don't have much to stand on. And so,
hey, maybe it'll cause a bigger reaction and maybe a more successful strike in the future. Yeah. I feel like if you go against Microsoft, you're kind of screwed just immediately.
Yeah, because the trouble is for Microsoft, they can ignore your strike.
They have the funds to ignore your strike.
Unless you get all their subsidiaries to strike, you can't do anything. So it really is not even a show of force. It's just, hey, we're going to do something to tell you we don't like it, and then we're going to go back to work because we don't want to be fired.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of sad. This is where you could get your antitrust hat on, but whatever. It's kind of sad that the workers, even if the entire team at a sub company of Microsoft stops, it won't even affect Microsoft.
Oh, I mean, because, Microsoft Gaming is its own subdivision of Microsoft, and then, you got Bethesda, which was bought out. This to them, I don't think it matters if Bethesda or Double Fine did the strike.
I don't think
it's just
it
a bigger
matters at all.
headline if it's Bethesda. So, does this push Elder Scrolls 6 back even farther?
Isn't it crazy? It's been 6 years since that teaser was announced. 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they had nothing.
Yeah, it was just a overview of the planes or whatever.
It was a teaser.
It was a teaser. And they haven't revealed anything still.
All right, here's my other controversial opinion on this. Bethesda's quality their QA team might be the thing that needs to get outsourced.
That is true. That is true. The joke is it's not a Bethesda game if it isn't full of bugs.
I mean, honestly, I read it. I was like, I don't know, with their reputation, that seems kind of reasonable. If I'm over them on Microsoft, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You guys don't really have this piece. We might need to bring some other guys.
It was some strategist in Microsoft who's like, and he was tasked with like, how do we make this company more profitable? And he goes, well, everyone jokes that they have bad QA.
Let's just not do QA. Let's just not do it.
Let's just take that away from them. They don't get to do QA anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean, going forward, I would assume we're going to get more kind of like cyberpunk releases out of Bethesda. I mean, that's kind of what we've been getting. I mean, they were the trendsetters for buggy launches.
Yes.
So I'm sure they'll keep that up, but we'll have to see how it actually plays out. I'm not expecting anything big to come out of it. In terms of legal battles, you can't really do much against the big three, no matter what they try to do. And Nintendo is actually doing something in their legal space as well. They are going forward with suing Palworld, and I'm blanking on the name that their company has, but it's like it's something
whatever it
generic.
Is. Yep. They're suing Palworld, and there were 3 patent infringements they were doing it on, but the big one is something to do with the gameplay mechanic where you throw an item to capture a creature and you have a % chance of capturing it. Nintendo is claiming that is their IP, and you can't copy that, regardless of the fact that it's a game mechanic that many people use, and it's been pretty universally proven that you can't copyright a game mechanic. But
yeah, here's what's interesting to me. I don't think Nintendo would do this if they felt like they weren't gonna win.
Yeah.
But the reasons that at least that have been released, I kind of think that there might be some other things that they're suing for that because the press release for this was given by the Korean company.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit more that they're suing for that they're not talking about. If I had to guess, if you looked at the 3D meshes between some of the pals and the Pokemon, it's pretty close. Like, I don't get how you can get that close.
I don't strictly disagree with that sentiment. There is, but then again, visual mashup is what creativity is, and so I don't think the lawsuit is valid. But the reason why I think they're doing it is because I think they're concerned that Palworld is genuine competition for Pokemon, and that Palworld in the future could be its own franchise. They could have their own trading cards. They could have, XYZ. I think Nintendo's afraid that something they've had such a tight grip on is all of a sudden there's going to be another fish in the water.
It's kind of crazy because last time people talked about Palworld was like a month after it came out.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that it's genuine competition.
It's had a consistent player base and it has continued to grow. It's growing from the drop off when everyone who was on it because it was hyped.
Yeah. I think actually what made them go forward with the lawsuit was them bringing it to PS5. I think that is what pushed them over the edge. Is like, okay, Sony's investing a little bit in it. We gotta do something about it.
I'm sure it is. And I don't know. Have you ever heard of like blue ocean, red ocean mentality when it comes to marketing and stuff?
Hit me with it.
So blue ocean means you have no competition, right? Red ocean means it's full of competition. There's blood in the water, right? Nintendo is the king of releasing new things into blue ocean. They have no competition for everything they release, right? And then they dominate it by perfecting it, right? They were unchallenged when they released Pokemon for several years before anyone tried to compete, but they had already just done it so much better that no one could, right? And now someone comes along, similar but different, which is competition, right? And Nintendo's like, we don't like you stepping into our ocean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going to try to do whatever they can. I feel like as a company, they kind of have that, if you're the head of, Nintendo's legal team, you're going to try to put as many roadblocks as possible. That's your obligation as your job. Like if Rivals 2 gets big enough, they might try to patent the percent system instead of the life bar.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle because they've let so many other things go without precedent. But
exactly. But they'll, if something, as you said, if the ocean starts turning red, then they'll try.
Yeah,
not saying
that's the whole idea, right? Is they're going to get aggressive. They're going to start getting cutthroat. Not that they already aren't, but
I mean, they've been pretty relaxed for the past couple years. I mean, the last really legal thing I remember was against Slippy, which is playing Melee online, and that was like 21, I think. So,
which once that could lead into a greater discussion about should we have worldwide patent protection?
That's the other thing, because I think when people see this situation between Power World and Pokemon, they're kind of taking their American law approach to the situation. It's like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Japan's laws, now correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they favor the company a lot more than the open
they do.
Open
and
source.
So it depends where the lawsuit's going to be handled, right? Like it's no loss for Power World to just say, fine, we won't sell it in Japan, right? Because most of their users are American. The trouble is they're a Korean company, and I believe Korea has a very similar.
Yeah, it's very similar.
And so what Japan is doing is hoping that they can get them in, which they will, into a Korean or a Japanese court and make that binding, and then they won't even be able to sell it in the U.S.
Yeah. So I think it's, the sentiment to me is pretty lame. Like Nintendo's going to try and do this with anything that they see as threatening, I guess. So it's interesting.
It's kind of just the way of the world, right? It is what it is. Nintendo has a fiduciary responsibility to their stakeholders to sue Power World.
Yes.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Same way that, Microsoft has the obligation to try and squeeze Bethesda as much as they can to get as much money out of it.
Is it a problem with our system? Maybe.
Definitely.
But can I acknowledge that they're probably doing it within the best their ability for the current system they work in? Yeah, and I'll hate them for it.
Yeah, that's okay.
So
hate the decision, not the person, I guess. Well, the person who decided it.
Hate the player,
hate the company, hate the decision. Don't hate the guy that
has to do it.
That has to do it for his job.
Yeah. Speaking of Nintendo, announcement, I think 5 days ago or something. It was recent. They have signed a license to re-release the N64.
Yes, and by re-release, it's through another thing. They're not bringing back like N64s with AV inputs,
and they're not even remastered, which is funny. It's just a new console, up-res to 2K and 4K. Kind of is what it is, and I think we've talked in the past about how I don't think the games are going to look right.
Yeah, I mean, well, I am like semi excited for it. I'll be excited if they reprint games. That'd be insane.
Which is what they're doing. They're reprinting games. They released a semi-full library. It's supposed to also be compatible with your old ones.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I want to see it in my hands because I think I do want it.
250 beans.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not awful for a console, but it's also nothing really new.
Well, I kind of want to just buy the cartridges, if I'm being honest.
That's fair.
I could get an N64 from like
I'd
people
be interested to know if it's like truly backwards compatible, because they have to be doing something different to make it 2K or 4K, or maybe it's just
I believe that's just hardware processing.
that could just be hardware processing.
Yeah.
Which it'll be
Or
interesting.
it's probably just fake upscaling, if we're being honest.
It might very well just be fake upscaling.
Yeah.
But it is going to have 4 ports for controllers.
Yep.
It will be compatible with your traditional N64
The controllers
controller.
look like actual controllers, which might be the best part about it.
Yep, so they're releasing new controllers for it, which they're pretty generic, pretty standard. I didn't see anything odd about them.
Yeah, which is a blessing for the N64.
But it will be compatible with your N64 controllers, and if I'm not mistaken, they will be also releasing N64 controllers with it if you would like to purchase those.
As if you want to play Mario Party as God intended, which is with a giant blister in your palm.
Yes, you can absolutely relive those dreams. I don't remember what the controllers were costing, but I remember looking at it and thinking that's way too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I got old controllers. I'm fine.
Yeah, you already got the N64 controllers.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that they went. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't do N64 Mini, because they did the NES Mini, the SNES Mini, and I was expecting this N64 Mini, but this might be their bandage for that at the moment.
Yeah,
or maybe they got there and they're like, we don't want to do it. We want to do Switch Online.
The thing I'm surprised about is that it's releasing the same year, possibly even the same quarter as Switch 2 or whatever new console. That's really surprising, because that they're releasing, I know they're not releasing, but it's a licensed release from them, a competitor to something that they're also releasing.
I would not call a competitor.
Well, it's not a competitor in the sense that it's the same thing, but people are now going to say, I like Nintendo games. I have to choose between these two consoles. Especially with the world economy the way it is right now.
I mean, I guess, man, but like...
most people aren't going to buy both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the people who are going to buy the N64 are going to buy both.
You know what? Maybe you have a point. That might be true.
And in the past, they haven't really coordinated their like mini console releases at all. They've kind of thrown it on the same day as game releases and stuff like that. So I just don't think it's more of a collector's item. They don't see it as something hitting the general market.
That's fair. Did you see 2 weeks ago they released a clock?
Dude, I did. And you know what? You know what I thought?
What?
Nothing. And I forgot about it the next day.
I didn't think much about it either. I just thought it was really funny.
I don't know what Nintendo is doing. Like they've done like, you know, every time they did an event or a direct, you know, they'd have all this marketing that goes towards it. Now they just throw out random information on a Tuesday via Twitter.
I know.
Like during election night, they're like, hey, by the way, the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible with all Switch 1 games, and it's going to have Switch Online, and your data will transfer over from the Switch games.
And it was just dropped. I remember watching like election stuff, and then all of a sudden someone's like, hey, did you notice Nintendo tweeted? It was like, huh?
Yeah, and then they do that, and then they do like the direct for their amusement park. They added Donkey Kong Country, which
have we talked about that they're pulling all their music off of Spotify and everything?
No, we haven't, because that hadn't happened since our last recording.
They're pulling all of their music off of Spotify. They're copyright striking it off of YouTube, and they're putting it all onto their own music platform.
Except that they only have like 15 games.
Yeah.
Which is insanity.
Like, I understand. They're like, we have over 700 songs. Most of them are variations of their own thing in games. Or, I mean, albeit, they're putting a lot of effort in the app, right? You saw you can loop it and you can extend the time. So you can say you can have you can have it go for 6 hours.
That part's cool, because it's like how it would sound in the actual game. You know, so if you wanted to do like a battle theme extended to like half an hour, it would actually loop the same way that it would loop in the games,
which is kind of cool.
And that you don't get that from like extended versions on YouTube or Spotify and stuff like that. So that's cool.
No, I understand why they'd want to do it.
It's dumb.
It is.
Don't get me wrong.
Dumb.
Don't get me wrong. It's dumb. Like if it was, I'm not going to boot up just Nintendo music to listen to.
I know.
Like,
it's kind of cringe, not gonna lie, because I have Nintendo music in some of my playlists. And
they'll always live on YouTube. You just might need to swap out your video every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of dumb that they're pulling their stuff off Spotify, and I know it'll live on YouTube, but it's frustrating that you can build a playlist in YouTube, but they're still going to change, right? So you have a playlist. You can't go back to it in like a year and re-listen because a lot of those are going to be copyright strike.
Well, I mean, that's been, as someone who has had YouTube Premium for like 7 years now, and has built many playlists featuring Nintendo music on the app, I've had to swap out songs like more times than I can count. It has always been a consistent thing Nintendo does. They copyright their music. They never had an alternative, so it was even stupider back then. Now they have their own app. I think the UI and the actual like systems that the app does is good, but they launched it with like 20 games max, which I guess they wanted to get it off the ground so the Nintendo ninjas could start throwing lawsuits out one at a time. You know, I don't understand why. And there's no like Pokemon music. There's no like partner game music and stuff like that. So, and that's a huge part of the library. And because it's still technically, if we talk about like Bayonetta 3, that's Sega owned. If Sega posts the Bayonetta soundtrack, which actually, never mind, they are allowed to just that can just be on Spotify. But there are other games like Pokemon where I don't think Game Freak would release it anywhere else besides the Nintendo app. Yeah. So it's a little.
Adding to more Nintendo hypocrisy. The Nintendo, what am I doing? The Nintendo, okay.
Move your mic towards your mouth.
Microphone usage. We've only been doing this for 20 some episodes. Yes. The Nintendo Museum, right?
Yes.
They are using the emulators that they have put lawsuits against to run their games in the museums, which
Dolphin?
Yeah.
They're using Dolphin.
I don't remember
Museum.
Exactly which one it is, but they are running emulators that I can't remember exactly which one. But I do remember that someone was looking into the machines in the museum and they were like, this is definitely an emulator. It's definitely this one. And then Nintendo copyright strike the heck out of his video and everything else. But anyway, the whole point that I'm trying to make is that they have been so hard pressed to sue the ever living crap out of every emulator, but then they take those emulators and use them anyway for their own products, which I understand legally speaking.
It's theirs.
They have every right to do. It's just so scummy on another level.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say to that, man.
You know me. I enjoy ragging on Nintendo.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's just a brutally like, it's not a black company. I get that. It's not like one of these.
We're not talking about like BlackRock or.
No. I know it's not like a bad company to work for.
It's a great company to work for. They treat their employees very well.
I understand that there's a lot to admire about Nintendo. Their legal team can only be admired in their audacity.
Hey, they keep trying. The worst they get is no and legal fees, and they can pay those.
I know.
So they're fine with it. No, hey, trust me, I'm a Smash fan. I mean, if anyone has a right to be mad at Nintendo, it's them. But I'm still gonna play their games. They make really freaking good games.
Yeah.
Speaking of really freaking good games, you know what game I've had 50 hours in?
I know you told me.
Metaphor ReFantasio. And it's great. But I added another 50 hours to Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I ended up buying it. A friend convinced me. We've been grinding it nonstop. I've only played multiplayer. Well, that's not true. I've played some campaign stuff. Campaigns, I haven't played many campaigns recently. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
They have challenges in them.
Yeah.
I like that. But the multiplayer, man, so good. Like it has mixed reviews on Steam, and most of the negative reviews I'm seeing are like, "Oh, I have to use the COD launcher."
Yeah, there's a lot of goofy things they've done.
Yeah. But the gameplay itself is amazing. I love the movement. I love the guns. The maps are all right, but there's some really good ones in there, and they're doing like free maps and stuff with each of the seasons.
I'm hoping they do map updates. I think that'll what'll get me in. I've watched a lot of videos, and just the map killing thing is tough.
The map killing thing, like
a couple things with that. There's a lot encompassed in that. When they released, they had an XP bonus, but they also had a recon perk that would just activate when you spawned.
Yeah.
and then on maps like Nuketown, it's just a free kill because you have insta wall hacks that span half the map.
Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah. So there are a lot of smaller maps called strike maps.
Yeah.
I don't know if Nuketown fits into that, but there is a certain mode you can play where you only play on the small maps. And you're right. Those perks like recon, it's not just one perk. You have to equip 3 of the same kind of perk to get that recon bonus.
Yeah.
It is really good. I'm not gonna lie. There are a lot of perks that give you there's a perk that lets you have a little indicator if like someone's looking at you. So there's a lot of ways you can be seen by that. So it doesn't screw you over as bad as you might think. But in smaller maps, it is funny. I got to give it up. It's funny.
Yeah, I did see that they said they were going to nerf it, and it's been a week since they said they would nerf it, and they haven't nerfed it.
Well, because the patch comes out tomorrow.
Oh, well, that would be why.
Yeah.
There you go.
So there,
It'll be nerfed tomorrow.
We'll see. I mean, but yeah, it lasts for a while.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna swap how the vision works on it. But the guns are super fun. The map, there's this one map called Stakeout, which is like the smallest map I think they've ever made, and it's 6v6 in there. And so a popular strategy is you get 3 smoke grenades and a baseball bat, and you just go around bonking people over and over and over again.
I can see the joy.
And there's a lot of joy in it.
Is the Omni movement good? Does it feel good?
Oh, I like it a lot. Like it took me a sec to get used to it, but
does it feel like traditional COD again?
It feels like traditional COD, but faster. I feel like some brain rot got added to it in terms of the dopamine hits that you're getting every second.
Okay,
but it feels more like traditional COD than even like Black Ops 3 or 4 did, like because they had like the super crazy like operator abilities or stuff like that. But this is like more just gun gameplay and score streaks, and I think it's great.
So it's nice to just like boot up and kill people.
Yeah, and I was thinking about as I was playing it, I was like, man, I missed this. It's an arcade shooter. You can just boot up, brain off. You don't have to be brain off, but I like just talking with people and being brain off. And just playing COD, and it's like fun. It's fast paced. I don't care if I win or lose. No one cares if they win. Well, people care if they win or lose, but I don't care if I win or lose. I'm just there to grind for the camos, grind for dark matter, and that's actually one of the biggest things for me when it comes to like progression systems that I love. Call of Duty camo progression is actually one of my favorite progression systems in any game. And now they have dark matter, and they have dark matter skins for zombies too, and they're gonna do them for Warzone. I haven't touched Warzone in a while.
I haven't touched Warzone since it released, but
is it gonna convince me to re-download it? Probably not, unless I really want to play more. But I've been absolutely loving it. I think if you've been missing COD, it's a great time to get back in. And at the time you're watching this, I believe this is getting published the day that season 1 starts. So there's battle pass in there, and there's a free and paid version, yada yada.
Yeah,
but
that ordeal.
But it's super fun. New weapons are going in the battle pass too. But like there's like new melees and stuff too, so like a meat cleaver and stuff like that. But there are other primary guns. So I'm pretty hopeful that I'm gonna be playing it for honestly a long time, because I've missed COD. Like I don't get that feeling when I'm playing Overwatch or Valorant or CS:GO or like Halo. Like really nothing else is like Call of Duty. Even Warzone is not Call of Duty.
No, Warzone's not Call of Duty. That's Fortnite with a Halo, with a Call of Duty skin.
And I didn't get that feeling when I tried Cold War, and I didn't get that feeling when I tried Vanguard. But I think it's Treyarch, which is ironic because they did Cold War. But Treyarch really brought it back in multiplayer-wise to something that I really enjoyed. Multiplayer for me, 9 out of 10. There's a couple things that I think are really stupid.
Yeah.
But they're hard to think about right now since I'm gushing. But all right, the spawns are brutal.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, like trying to get like a nuclear in that game getting a nuclear is going to be super impressive because, like you said, you're on Nuketown and you got you spawn and you get wall hacks. Someone's on a merciless. You just like, oh, there they are. Boop boop boop.
I mean, so there's good and there's bad. But you'd recommend it.
Oh, I would definitely recommend it. I know it's $70. So if you're not that interested, but if you're on the fence and you're like, I don't know if this is going to be an actual good COD game, I can vouch.
It's a good COD game.
Because there's a lot of COD games I hate. And I'm a big Black Ops 3 believer and Black
Yeah.
Ops 2 believer and Black Ops 1 believer, Modern Warfare 2, the original,
Yeah.
and 3. So those are the games I find enjoyable, and this is the first game since then where I'm like, this is it. This is a good game.
Okay. Well, when you try the zombies, you need to come back and give a review of that.
Yes, because I know the zombies is going to be different.
Because I think that's what's going to sell it for me. Because, yeah, I love the multiplayer, whatever. I still need to be able to come back and replay zombies.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Zombies is a big part of what gets me past multiplayer. Because multiplayer, I play until I get dark matter,
Yep.
and then I'm like, all right, playing zombies the rest of the time. Though
Yep.
getting dark matter is going to be like hundreds of hours, but
Which, it's nice. If you enjoy it that long, I think that'll be great.
yeah. And something else that's nice about it that I thought was lame until I thought about it more. But they're combining, in the old games you had a multiplayer level, a zombies level. It's all just combined, but you unlock stuff for each of the things as you go. So, if I keep playing zombies, that's still just going to add to my main level. And the prestiges give you more rewards now, not just like your prestige 2, unlock all the guns again. Here's like, hey, here's something you get at level 20, 30, 40 at prestige level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
What's the customization like? Can you really emphasize yourself in the customization or?
I think, yeah, customization is super strong in the game. So
Nice.
I'm a big just run my primary gun guy. So I just use Gunfighter, which gives 8 attachments, and you can save different loadouts for each gun. The camos are great, and you can so each gun has like your standard camos and then 2 special camos, and then there's gold, diamond, dark spine, which is new, and then dark matter. And those 2 special camos, you can when you unlock each gun has their 2 special camos, and when you unlock those, you can unlock them for all the guns by doing it. So like the gun I'm working on right now, the Tanto 22 has a banana skin as one of its special skins, and I want that one, and I want to put that on like every gun I use from now on.
Okay.
And also with the challenges, usually it's just if you get all the camos, you get gold. Now it's like you got to get all the camos and then do an extra challenge.
Okay.
And then it's like, all right, now that you got gold in all your guns, you got to do an extra challenge with each of the guns to unlock diamond.
Okay.
And then you got to do it again for dark spine and dark matter.
Well, that's a nice progression system.
Yeah.
It makes you go back and replay all.
It makes you go back and replay all the guns multiple times.
Are there any that just feel awful that you're gonna hate grinding through, or is it
Not yet.
Is it well balanced
Well balanced.
outside of map spawns and everything else? Just the weapons. Do the weapons feel balanced, or is there a very obvious map?
I get mad at each of the weapons, so I feel like that's a good sign of balance. The submachine guns definitely feel the best to me right now, but I'm kind of a shotgun scumbag. So when I get to the shotguns, I think I'm gonna have a blast. And then the snipers are gonna be pretty tough, I feel, with how small a lot of these maps are. But I die a lot to snipers on some other maps, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, they must be good some way, right?
That must be good. That must be good in a way.
If you're dying to them, they must be good.
But yeah, I totally recommend. Like it's truly the real deal. It's no Black Ops 1. It's no Black Ops 2. But maybe that's just because you're never gonna feel that way in your life again, and maybe you just gotta come to terms with that. Black Ops 6 just might be the closest you can get at the moment.
Which that's pretty cool. I mean, you're persuading me. I just want to hear about zombies, and I think I might just do it.
You could just try it out for yourself.
I could. It's in our shared library.
We share a Steam library. You could just download it and try it.
But the big thing is I would want to play it with you.
No, yeah, I get it. So you could try it. Well, then I guess is trying it solo going to give you the experience of a multiplayer? Probably not. Probably not. So that's my recommendation. Black Ops 6, actually good game. If you listen to Sweats, they'll probably be like, blah 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 blah. Hardcore search and destroy isn't the same. Okay, I don't care, man. Sorry. They're adding ranked mode. Wait a day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have one more game I want to talk about, and then there's some film news that I want to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
So I recently finally played a game that's been on my early access watch list for a while. It's called Timberborn. It's been out. A bunch of you have probably heard about it. But it's a city builder, but you're beavers.
Building a dam,
a civilization. And the key mechanic is that you have wet seasons and dry seasons, okay? So everything's based around this river or waterway or whatever map you're playing on, right? And it's a basic city builder. You've got your science buildings, you've got your industry buildings, but you can build things like water wheels in the river that power your industry buildings. But then when the drought comes, there's no more river. And so that's the same with like your food and everything else. Is your crops grow when it's wet, they don't grow when it's dry. Your beavers can't drink anything unless you've stored up water. So the idea is balancing your economy, where you need to be building and developing in the wet season, and then you need to move everything during the dry season. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of neat. It's not, I shouldn't say that because I did fail my first run. So I won't say that it's like easy.
Okay.
It's definitely really easy to get a handle of.
What's the art style like in this game? I might need to...
It's cute.
Is it?
Yeah, it's definitely cute.
I think it'd be funny if it was really gritty. Like a super realistic, like
beaver
gritty
simulator.
beaver simulator.
It's kind of cool. So it's tile based. The elevation is based in tiles as well. So you're like 3 tiles high, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then you can terraform the land. You can build dams to store up water during the dry season. It's kind of cool. It's kind of fun.
Bro, this looking like Sim City.
No, it's different art style than SimCity.
I don't know, man. This is not as stylized as I thought it was going to be when I heard Beaver City Builder.
It's cute.
Maybe that's just what I think. I think indie. I'm thinking, oh, there's like art style. It's it has an art style.
Yes, it does.
It's just not as stylized as I thought it was going to be.
I don't know. When you build the buildings and everything, there's definitely a level of, well, it looks like a beaver.
Oh, it's a beaver
There's
thing.
a beaver thing. I really like it because it's a city builder that has height to it.
Okay. I like verticality.
Yeah, so you can there are certain buildings you can stack on the buildings, but you have to research things like stairs and and raised pathways so that you can actually get into the buildings. It's kind of cool. So there's some verticality to it. Your maps aren't large, and so it wants you to build up. It's kind of cool. I kind of enjoyed it. Do I think I'm going to play a whole lot? I don't know yet. They're still releasing a lot of content, and I don't know that I want to get super into a city just to find out that there's now more stuff I want to do.
Yeah, and this is in early access,
Yep,
right?
it's in early access. Full release is slated sometime next year, I believe.
Okay.
So
I've been enjoying the early access games. I think it's getting a lot more games, not only exposure, but it also helps them out a lot.
yeah, I really appreciate how Steam does like early access review days and stuff, where they promote on their main page, like, here's a bunch of early access games. Warning, they're early access, but try them out.
Yeah, because I mean, a game that just came out of early access is Satisfactory, and we've played that game.
I've played
that's
a lot of
that's a
Satisfactory.
good game if you like.
And it has an ending now, which I think maybe we should start it up again and finally play through the whole game.
That's crazy. I mean, it has an ending.
Minus the fact that we only got to tier 6 out of 8. But there is a final
There's
tier
no
now.
way we made it to tier 6.
I did when the server was up.
That's the other thing too with a game like Satisfactory. Multiplayer is tough because then I feel like I'm not experiencing the game because other people are building. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm utterly shocked because I did single player at just how long it takes because you build to your scale, right? And if you start at your small scale, you're going to get to a bigger point where you're like, oh my goodness, now I'm stuck because I have to build bigger. But all of your old stuff, you either have to just delete all of it and build new, or you have to figure out how to make it bigger. And so what's nice is when you play with a whole bunch of people, you're like, well, now someone's done something modular that we can build off of, which I've kind of appreciated, especially when doing it.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons as always.
I did spend many hours just sitting building that giant coal factory, which was great. It worked really well.
Yep, I've done the same in other playthroughs, so it's interesting. Just like the year 2014. 2014, very interesting year. 10 years ago.
Yes.
10 years. We're really closing in. Also, before we continue on, I need to say, did we skip over Minecraft?
Minecraft was 2000 and... Well, it first started releasing in 2008. 2008, but I think
Yeah,
the
because
actual
what do you
release
what do you
was-
count? Do you count the alpha? Do you count when the actual 1.0 release? What do you count?
Well, it released in 2009, but it was called Cave Game.
No, you don't count that.
The full version released in 2011.
Okay, so we totally skipped over it.
I guess we did.
Wow.
But then again, even in 2011, wasn't much. When did, like, I think 1.7 is what really drove the game. At least I remember it being massive, which was 2014,
I remember
which was this year.
one
That's what we're
point.
talking about.
I remember 1.2 coming out. So
That's crazy. I remember 1.7 because 1.7.2,
wasn't the 7 the combat update?
Yep.
Okay.
which is massive because it was also sort of like peak for modding. So I played Terra Firmacraft. I played, you name it, I probably played it. But Volts Wars was the big passion I had,
Yeah.
which was this sort of techie, and there was a whole bunch of Volts Wars servers where you would go on and you build a base and you defend it.
I think that was peak, like Pixelmon as well,
Yep,
and
Pixelmon.
Technic or Tech.
Yep.
Yeah, like that was.
Yep,
big.
they had the Technic launcher.
That was the update that did the different creeper mod. You know what I mean? Where
Yep.
there's in the different TNT
it was
mod.
like peak Minecraft. I think it was
Any nostalgic mod you think of, it was probably during that time.
was definitely 1.7.
But we would not count that as a 2014 release.
no, I wouldn't.
It would be
And-
a 2011 release.
Yep, and I don't think it was. I guess as someone, Minecraft was big, right? But as someone who played it pretty early, I didn't get super involved with it until 1.7, when modding was finally like, this is big.
Yeah. It's tough to say if that's a game of the year game even because
Yeah,
it's such a prolonged
like,
thing.
Yeah, it's only become bigger with time. And so I don't know that it's ever been a game of the year.
I mean, now we're getting like parkour civilization and people are making
gosh.
jumps for the beef.
Yes.
And it's 2024.
I know.
So it's gonna last longer than most of our lives, in my
Oh,
opinion.
for sure. And I mean, unless someone does it better, but
Roblox is like, I don't know. When did Roblox come out?
Roblox
It was around the same time, right?
2013 if I remember right, but I'm going to check.
That's another game I would never consider game of the year.
I think it came out in 2006.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Dude, YouTube and Roblox same year. That's crazy.
Wow. In 2007, Roblox became compliant with COPPA, which made it able to be allowed for children.
Okay. So what was Roblox like in 2006?
It had no chat filter.
Oh, okay. That's funny. I was gonna say it was all of them waiting.
We totally didn't even talk about Club Penguin came out in 2005.
Yeah, I mean we've missed a lot of browser games.
We did miss a lot of browser games, but browser games aren't what we're talking about. Although I do love me some Flash games.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, if there was a Flash game that was better than everything else that came out that year, I'd call it the game of the year.
That's true. Well, anyway,
Back to 2014.
2014, I think okay, so this is something that I wanted to mention. You look back at some games from 2014 and you're like, I could have guessed that this was anywhere between like 2014 and 2020 based on how the graphics look. I understand there have been leaps since 2020 to 2024 in some of the more photorealism side of things. And even for games that aren't photorealistic, animation,
Yes.
character animation. But between like this 6-year period of 2014 and 2020, I don't know that there was a whole lot of improvement. And I think that barrier was with like the RTX series of graphics card really pushed that beyond. But
Yeah, I mean, we're really at the plateau, I think, for graphics once really at this year. I mean, not the plateau, but it went from, mountain to now we're like it's
yeah, every
basically flat.
step up from here is pretty small.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely things with like performance optimization that'll be huge going forward. Like, will my rig run something photorealistic in 5 years, or is it going to be stupid hard to run? Right. We're getting to a point where I think we might, if optimization continues the way it should, where we might now be able to run games for 10 years going forward.
Yeah.
Which would be nice. I would appreciate that.
Not having to replace a graphics card.
Yeah, exactly. But when I'm talking like 2014, right? I'm talking like Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor came out in 2014.
I haven't played it.
You haven't played it? It's in our library. Play it.
Yeah, I bought it actually for $2.
Play it. It's worth it. 100%.
I haven't watched Lord of the Rings.
Okay, play the game. It's worth it. It's a lot of fun. Far Cry 4,
Ooh.
Mario Kart 8. If you can believe it. Hearthstone came out. Super Smash Bros. On the 3DS and Wii U.
Yep.
Titanfall. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Forza Horizon 2. Tales from the Borderlands. And then the one that I had brought up earlier today when we were talking was Infamous Second Son. That game just looks great. It is similar art style to Sunset Overdrive, which also came out in 2014. Metro Redux, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed Unity.
I like that one.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, that's a good game.
Yeah. This War of Mine, which is a small indie game that I freaking adore.
Okay.
It's fun. I guess I didn't realize that came out in 2014 too. The first game of the Banner Saga, which is a phenomenal story game. It's a sort of an RTS. If you ever get a chance and you have 8 hours, that's all it takes to play it.
Okay.
Each game. So I guess it's
3 games.
Yep, there's 3 games. Very compelling story. Heartfelt indeed. Civilization Beyond Earth. That's the child we forget from the Civilization series.
Is that a space one?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Assassin's Creed Rogue. Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls. Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh boy.
Like there's a lot of things in here. The Last of Us remastered.
Dude, I think something was shifting in the culture.
Yeah, I think there was. Because you also have games like The Sims 4, which
I thought Shovel Knight came out in 2014. Or was that 2013?
I think it came out this year.
Because when I think of like the start of indie games getting really popular, Shovel Knight's the first one that comes up for me. Like in terms of like games that kind of kicked off the indie revolution.
That was 2017.
Shovel Knight or Shovel Knight Treasure Trove?
Oh, that's Shovel Knight Treasure Trove was 2017.
Yeah. Shovel Knight, the original game, I believe.
2014.
2014.
Yep. June 26, 2014.
Because it was like Shovel Knight, Five Nights at Freddy's, and then Undertale was the next year.
Yep.
And then that started like...
Well, you also had The Binding of Isaac was 2014.
Binding of Isaac Rebirth. I think it was because they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary.
Rebirth. Yep.
So Rebirth came out. Oh, dude, that's such a good freaking game.
Little Big Planet 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Ultra Street Fighter 4. I mean, these are games that you would say probably hold up to today.
Oh yeah. Ultra Street Fighter 4. Maybe I don't like their art style, but it looks still like Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, I mean these are 100% games that I would go back. Like I love Borderlands pre-sequel. I think it holds up. I think it's great. People still play it. A lot of these people still play Metal Gear Solid 5, Metro Redux, Sunset Overdrive, Infamous.
I mean, but this year doesn't have a game that's like, oh, that's like a big dog.
I mean, Divinity: Original Sin, Dragon Age Inquisition, Wolfenstein: The New Order. Love that game.
Those are all great games.
Alien Isolation.
Hey, that's a great game.
Great game.
These are all great games.
Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 2 came out.
Mm-hmm.
I love Dark Souls 2.
Divinity: Original Sin is one of those where I think the second one just did it better, but...
Oh, no, dude. We're going to have such different opinions on this year. I can already tell. You've said so many games that I know you love.
I love Titanfall, but once again, I think Titanfall 1 is much better to play solo. I think Titanfall 2 just did the Titanfall mechanic better.
Yeah.
But it didn't last very long.
Yeah, dude, this is actually so tough for me. There's not really a game I'm like, yeah, that has to be game of the year. Yeah,
So this is also the first year that the Game Awards.
Yeah, little bro came in.
Yep.
You know, we had BAFTA. We've been hopping on the BAFTAs and DICE, but now we can finally talk about the people that say the game of the year, quote unquote, definitively.
Yeah, the definitive game of the year
The
award.
people I really want to hammer in on for making the wrong decisions every year.
Yep. Jeff Keighley, producer and host of the Spike Video Game Awards, created the Game Awards.
I do need to say that he has done a great service. I mean, I gotta give it up to him.
Yep.
He has done a great service by creating
and
this.
it's pretty cool, right? So he does it the blended voting way, the same way that like America's Got Talent and everyone else does it. He did it like a game show,
Yes.
not a game show.
It
award
gave
show.
it the prestige, and I think it kind of gives it kind of it made it easier for people who don't play video games to understand the prestige behind
yes.
some of the behind these things. So, and you know, there are collaborations with outside people that are not in gaming. They do that thing with the Muppets every year, you know. So they're involved with like lots of outside stuff, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Which is nice, right? So it's got a 90% weight on the jury voting, and then there's a 10% weight on fan voting, which is pretty normal.
Yeah.
Which it is kind of nice how the jury, for people who don't know, the people who actually vote for the game is, I think he does like the top 100 largest what is it? The top 100 largest global media
gamers
outlets.
Wait.
Global media gaming outlets.
Oh. Yes.
Which the nice part is it's a panel of 100.
Yes,
so
it's
you
panel
take,
100.
You take the top 10
This isn't
that
just
you,
IGN.
Yeah, this isn't just IGN, which we can get into what number they gave Dragon Age Veilguard. They gave it a 9. They gave it a 9 pre-release, and they dropped it to a 7 post-release.
They should not be allowed to change it.
I agree.
It needs to. You said a 9.
They Redfalled that game. They did what they did with Redfall. They got a pre-release copy. They gave it a 9, and they revised it to a.
If you have to change the score, you should not be posting it. Period.
I agree.
It's like you either need to take the
100%.
journalist off of your team, or you need to just make it so you don't have to actually do the rat race to get the number out as fast as possible.
I know. And at least was it Game Rant gave it a. They gave it a 62 on release, and they've held to that, which is nice. There are some who have integrity. I did see the user score on Game Rant was like a 28%. This is kind of beside the point.
User scores.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you, Jeff Keighley, for the Game Awards. It makes a good spot to see trailers now that E3's gone.
Yeah,
it's like
for real. I love the world announcements at the Game Awards.
Yeah, even though it's like most of the show now, which I'm kind of
cool
fine with, to be honest. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, people complain about it, but
I know
it's kind of just celebrating gaming, even though they always make the wrong decisions. Not always.
I think personally, I can get behind this decision. So the Game Awards chose Dragon Age Inquisition.
And what did the other people?
We'll give
something?
DICE chose Dragon Age Inquisition as well.
And BAFTAs?
And the BAFTAs
probably didn't have it at this point.
No, they did. So I double checked.
Yes,
it was released in EU, but they didn't choose that. They chose Destiny of all games.
Destiny?
Yeah. Did I not say that? Destiny also came out.
Destiny.
Yes. Which I do not think deserves Game of the Year.
Are you sure? I think your post Destiny 2 hatred might be tainting your view.
I remember playing a lot of Destiny when it came out, and I just don't think.
I just don't think it was your thing.
I really enjoyed it. I just.
Destiny's a fine choice. I don't think you can blame anyone for choosing Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying.
And also, all right, I'll just say this about Dragon Age Inquisition. I played for 2 hours because I bought it, and I was like, oh, this was got Game of the Year 2014. Let's see what it is. I don't think it was my thing, personally. Though
that's fair.
I didn't give it the fairest chance, if I'm being honest, because I think I was looking at it as this was Game of the Year.
Yep.
So
so let me give you my quick spiel on Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yes.
And why I think it deserves Game of the Year. So number one, revolutionize the RPG sphere into what we consider to be the modern RPG. You could say that like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas kind of revolutionized that sort of RPG, but this is more of the I don't want to call it like arcade, but sort of that console-esque RPG feel. It kind of
What does that mean?
It's hard to describe. So it's not a first-person shooter, which is pretty apparent by it being a Dragon Quest game.
Okay.
But it's also not your top-down RPG. It's sort of this hybrid between what Bethesda was doing and what your other more Eastern developing games were doing with their top-down RPG style.
Yes.
It wasn't a JRPG. It wasn't a top-down RPG. It also wasn't a first-person shooter RPG or anything like that. It was new, and it really kind of led the way into what we saw as this more casual RPG. It had a great story. It had a fully unto its own music track with songs, with vocals, with everything else. And like I said, the story was really phenomenal. The gameplay was good. Yeah, it had a lot going for it.
Okay. Like, so I'm not hearing it. I'm just not hearing the game of the year.
It was a great game. I don't really know what would stand out to make it.
So what games do you think it influenced then?
Well, more recently, Baldur's Gate.
But Divinity Original Sin came out.
Yeah, but this Divinity Original Sin, the first one, was really clunky.
And then Divinity Original Sin 2, you think took more an Inquisition?
I do. Outside of the like RTS factors, like it's still Inquisition's still a freeform combat system. Okay. It's not an RTS turn-based, sorry. Like Divinity is or like Baldur's Gate is. But those games I think took heavily inspired graphical inspiration from the Dragon Age series.
Okay. I'm just not getting it. You said something earlier, too, that made me think, is this really Game of the Year? Because you were like, when Veilguard came out, people started playing Baldur's Gate 3. Well, why didn't they play Inquisition?
Because Baldur's Gate 3 is definitively a better game.
But why? I feel like you should feel nostalgic for it.
I genuinely think Baldur's Gate 3 is peak RPG. Like, if you want to ever go back to a medieval RPG, just play Baldur's Gate 3 at this point.
Okay.
I can't blame anyone for making that decision. And just to quickly point out what he's referencing, Veilguard just came out a week ago. Mm-hmm. And it brought back more players to Baldur's Gate 3 than were actually playing Veilguard.
Which, again, why not Inquisition?
Once again,
if the game was that good, wouldn't you see?
No. I think it deserves Game of the Year, but I think Baldur's Gate 3 just shunts most of every game we've talked about out of the water. I think it's a love letter to gaming, is what Baldur's Gate is. The fact that they've made their money and they're still releasing new content constantly,
yes,
is amazing.
Got to give it up to Larian. Yes.
Yeah, like they're doing their duty to gamers. Like they're now doing it just.
They're not doing. That's not a duty. They're going above and beyond. What are you talking about?
Sorry, they're not doing their duty. They are. That completely negates what I'd said before about it being a love letter to gamers. It's they're doing it because they're passionate. That's what I meant.
Because they like they love their game that they're making.
They feel like, as passionate game developers, that it's their duty to provide something good.
Yes.
And they're doing it.
Yeah. So 2014.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, this is tough. I'll my context in 2014 is I remember the Smash release the most.
Yep.
Because it released on my birthday.
Stick of Truth also came out.
the South Park.
Yeah, the South Park game.
That's a good game.
It's a freaking fun game. I love that game.
It's a good game. I remember the Smash released the most, specifically trying to get all the amiibos post-launch, which was super fun. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Mario Kart 8 is up there.
It's freaking great.
They're still running it 10 years later.
I love Mario Kart 8.
And that's why I was laughing.
I think we're overdue for Mario Kart 9, but
what are they going to do? It's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is in the same position that Smash Ultimate is in. If you make another game, especially with the new system being backwards compatible,
yeah.
Now that it is backwards compatible, I don't know if they're gonna make another Smash game for Switch 2.
It's just kind of sad. I kind of.
Why would they?
Then again, they haven't changed the formula, so why would they? You're right.
Yeah, I mean, if you do, I don't like the reboot idea, but if they did a reboot, sure, I think they're going to just try something new. But same with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, It's got like the most tracks ever. They doubled the tracks in their DLC thing they did 8 years later, which kind of be like, yeah, no Mario Kart 9 for the next like 5 years, basically. Because that basically was Mario Kart 9, even though that they half-assed a lot of the tracks.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know what they could do. Mario Kart 8 is like a great game.
Hearthstone came out.
Yeah. That's another game that like I'm sorry for people. But Hearthstone's a lot better than
I love
like
Hearthstone.
League.
I play Hearthstone.
Hearthstone's fun. I'm gonna be honest, like in my head, Binding of Isaac Rebirth is up there.
It is, yes.
Mario Kart's up there.
Far Cry 4 is up there for me.
Yeah, I mean Far Cry 4 is a great game. I mean, amazing game. You know, I mean, I'm sure you know, but you can just wait in the chair until the guy comes back and you just beat the game. Like that's just so cool. Like
it's fun. I enjoy it.
At the very beginning of the game, the main villain's like, "Hey, wait here for a second," and if you just wait, you just beat the game. It's so funny.
So here's where I struggle, right? I think solely from a game perspective, I like the choice of Dragon Age Inquisition. But there are other games that year that I personally probably would put above it.
Like Destiny.
I would not be Destiny.
Why not?
Alien Isolation is one I think of.
Really? I mean, I'm surprised you said that. I mean, do I agree it's above Dragon Age? In my head right now, yeah, I guess. But.
Like, I think this is a matter of, do I pick a game that I think is the best game objectively, or do I pick a game that I personally think is above it?
Well, yes. I'm pretty sure a Pokemon game came out this year too. I'm pretty sure it was a Mega Ruby Alpha Sapphire.
I'm sure it might have been.
Those are great games. People are going to say otherwise. They're great games.
I'm sure I can find it, but
dude, this is such a hard year. I don't have something where I'm immediately like, oh, this has to be game of the year. Like even the games that I personally love out of this list, like I would never call Smash 4 game of the year.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably the game out of the list I put the most time into.
It is Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Great. I would never call Smash 4 game of the year.
Yeah.
I could call Mario Kart 8 game of the year if I'm being honest. It's definitely I could.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to.
I think ones that I definitely could call game of the year outside of Dragon Age here is Alien Isolation. I don't think Shadow of Mordor would have gotten it. I think it was nominated, if I'm not mistaken. Mario Kart 8 I would put on there. I don't know that I can say Titanfall. I don't know that I can, even though I love Titanfall. Mm-hmm. Sunset Overdrive.
It's good.
It's really good.
It's good.
I think Watch Dogs was nominated.
Yeah, Watch Dogs 1 was good.
Was a great game, yeah.
Yeah. Back when Ubisoft, company.
Borderlands, the pre-sequel.
That's a funny game.
It's a funny game.
I like funny.
I like funny a lot. I would not have been surprised if The Sims 4.
Sims 4 came out as well.
Yeah.
Dude, so there's a lot of games that are like really genre defined. Oh, also Dark Souls 2 is up there for me as well.
Yeah. I don't think that Dark Souls 2 is up there for me personally.
Well,
but
am I really going to? Sure, I'll talk about Dark Souls 2.
Okay.
Dark Souls 2 is better than Dark Souls 1.
Yes. Objectively.
You think so?
I think so.
Really?
Yes. It's been
I thought I was out here a lone soldier.
It's been a long time since I've played either of those two games, and I don't think I beat either of those two games.
Oh, okay.
So there is that.
So all right, never mind. I was excited, but people can discredit that.
Yeah,
but
they can.
Dark Souls 2 to me, I feel is better than Dark Souls 1, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 2 has some dumb bosses." Yeah, I think that's okay. It has some really great bosses and bosses you can beat in like one hit. That's okay. I think that's fine. There's should they be considered bosses? Probably not. But it's still fine. I think the areas are a lot cooler in Dark Souls 2, in my opinion. I think that the bosses are a lot cooler in Dark Souls 2, in my opinion. That's a bit more controversial, I think. The DLCs are amazing in Dark Souls 2. The Dark Souls 1 DLC is also cool, has Artorias, but Dark Souls 2 DLCs have Fume Knight, which I think is better than Artorias, which I'm sure means nothing to you.
No.
But I think what really gets me is I love the hub and the way you travel between the areas in that game way more than Dark Souls 1. Most people discredit Dark Souls 2 for being more jank. It is. But,
I definitely remember jank.
yeah, but Dark Souls 1 has
I was about to say,
Light Town.
Yeah, I don't remember Dark Souls 1 being free of jank either.
Yeah. There's some parts in Dark Souls 1 I also think are way weaker than I think people forget about them too.
I just think Dark Souls 3 is peak of the series, though.
I'm with you there. And the trilogy goes 3-2-1 for me. A lot of people goes 1-3-2 or 3-1-2. Most people
Did you play Bloodborne?
I haven't.
Yeah, neither have I, which is unfortunate.
Maybe if they ported it to PC.
That's
I would buy it day one.
I would probably buy it day one too if they ported it to PC.
But anyway, that's my Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Dark Souls 2 is better.
My unequivocal indie game choice this year would be This War of Mine.
Binding of Isaac Rebirth for the grandfather rogue game.
That's completely fair.
No, Binding of Isaac 1 was the grandfather rogue game. Binding of Isaac Rebirth is an amazing game. It's the peak of the genre. It's like top 3 rogues of all time. 100%.
Yeah, that's fair. I still personally I love This War of Mine. It was gritty. It was like, so for instance, it was a reference. It was a side panel. So it was 3D models, but it was a 2D plane that you played on. And so you were in a war-torn country, and you were survivors. And then you had to go loot other houses and stuff where there might be some people in it or not. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever played Borrow Trauma. It's a 2D game, right? You play it on the side, 3D models inside, whatever. It was really nice. It was fun. It was a survival game. It was also technically a rogue because if you died, you had to restart completely.
Yes. I think Rogue Legacy came out this year too. But
I don't know that it did.
Or maybe it came out earlier, actually.
Rogue Legacy.
Because you know the game I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know
that's kind of like a classic,
Yeah. 2013 was Rogue Legacy.
Dang. That's crazy.
Rogue Legacy 2 was 2020. Okay.
2020.
So, okay. This is really hard for me. I think I have no qualms with Dragon Age being picked. I'm almost partial to give it to Alien Isolation.
When did Amnesia come out? Earlier, right?
I think we've talked about Amnesia already.
Okay, we've probably talked about it then. Yeah, actually, we did talk about it.
Yeah, 2010.
I think I'm going to have to do something I thought I would never have to do, and that is agree with the British.
And give it to Destiny?
I do think I got to give it to Destiny.
You made a lot of people happy with that comment.
Listen, and honestly, I think I like Binding of Isaac Rebirth more. But Destiny 1 was we can never experience it again. But
I just remember playing Warframe over Destiny.
I think that's your problem.
Warframe came out in 2013.
That's your problem. Is Destiny's better than Warframe by a lot, I feel like. And I feel like that's not a controversial opinion. I think that's a pretty commonly held opinion.
I think there's a lot of people who disagree.
What 1,000 Warframe players?
1,000, bro. It's like one of the largest MMOs of all time.
I'm sure if you got the survey between people who played both Warframe and Destiny, they would choose Destiny.
No, there's a reason why Warframe's a bigger game than Destiny.
Okay, Destiny 1, not Destiny 2.
There's a reason why Warframe is a bigger game than Destiny 1 was.
It's no shot.
It is one of the largest MMOs of all time, dude.
Warframe?
Yes.
There's no shot.
It is.
Oh, I don't believe this for a second.
It is.
Well, Destiny, I still think Destiny 1's better. I still think raids.
No, don't get me wrong.
Have you done a Destiny raid?
Yes, I've played Destiny. I've played a lot of Destiny.
You done the PvP, try to get the
Yes,
legendary
I've played it
engrams
all.
for a certain...
I'm not saying Destiny's a bad game. I'm not saying that at all. I just don't think it's Game of the Year material, and I don't think it outshines most of this list.
Listen, I think Destiny 1 in the gaming landscape is easy to top. With the choices we got for 2014, I think Destiny's the best one.
With like Dark Souls and
it would be
Wolfenstein
Dark Souls 2 right under it.
And Titanfall came out this year, and I mean,
here, I'll give you the order. It goes Destiny, Dark Souls 2, Binding of Isaac Rebirth, Mario Kart 8, and then Alien Isolation.
See, I would probably go Alien Isolation, Dark Souls 2, Dragon Age Inquisition. I don't know that Titanfall's near the top of my list, but it's probably one of the best shooters in my opinion that came out.
But do you understand why they chose Destiny?
I can see it. I think it was the
Why
wrong
can you see
choice.
it? Destiny has, and I hate the this card, but I'm going to use it to prove a point. So the cultural impact card.
But
that I'm pulling out right now. Warframe has had maybe 1% of the cultural impact that Destiny has had, right?
I think Destiny's more mainstream, but that's also
why is it more mainstream?
That's also like saying the Division's had a cultural impact because most people know what the game is.
What are you talking? Destiny. It's not just that people know what the game is. I still don't believe that more people play Warframe than Destiny.
It's true. Look it up.
I don't believe you.
It's 100% true.
Are you talking about United States? You're talking about worldwide?
I'm talking worldwide as a game.
Okay, then I can see that. I can see that there might be like a huge Korean or Chinese or everywhere. Sure, but like, in my experience, I have seen like zero Warframe impact. I mean, I played it, so I can say that. I saw zero people talking about Warframe. Everyone talks about Destiny. Why hasn't Warframe gotten a bit on Jeff Keighley's show then? I think
it actually has, but
to like market their new expansion or whatever.
I'm pretty sure they actually have, but when they came out with the Lotus expansion, I'm almost positive it was on the show.
Okay. Fair enough.
But
fair enough.
I'll put the kibosh to that. I'm like 90% certain it was.
I'll give you that stamp, even though I can't confirm at the moment. I just, in terms of the cultural impact that I feel, and would you agree that Destiny definitely is? You said it yourself. It's more mainstream
in the U.S. I would completely agree.
And why would you think that is?
Because it was a very much U.S. coded shooter at the time.
Okay, I mean it had Bungie support.
Yeah,
it was Bungie. And Bungie is what made it great.
I remember the marketing campaign for it. It was massive. It was everywhere. Like, don't get me wrong. There's a reason it was cultural. I don't strictly think it's because of the game.
I think it was.
I think a lot of people got into it because they saw the ads for it.
I think the hype around it was like, oh, Bungie's making an MMO. And then people played it and it was like, man, I like this Bungie MMO.
Yeah, no, I don't get me wrong. I think it's a fine game.
Yeah.
I enjoyed playing it. I'm not going to discredit that. I just don't think it's Game of the Year material.
Okay. Sure. I mean, what am I supposed to say that? No, you can't think that.
No, you're not allowed to think that.
Not allowed to think that. Binding of Isaac should be above all those games.
I would play Wolfenstein: The New Order over Destiny.
Well, you can't play Destiny.
I know.
If I had the opportunity to go back and play Destiny 1 with like 2 other people,
yeah,
I would. And like go back and play that. Over all those games on the 2014 list.
It's kind of crazy, but okay.
Going for the exotic engrams, going for the legendary engrams with certain modifiers,
like
going for all these different events.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Far Cry 4 co-op at this point?
At launch?
I don't know if it was at launch, but I would go back and play Far Cry 4 co-op over Destiny.
I wouldn't, but I'm not the biggest Far Cry guy.
That's fair.
You know?
But I don't know. Maybe it is tinted by perception.
I think because I would never play Destiny 2 now. I'm just gonna. I'll say that. I would never play Destiny 2.
I installed it. I played a couple hours and I deleted it.
I played it at launch.
Yeah.
Super pumped because I played a ton of Destiny 1.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed. I uninstalled it. And I haven't bought any expansions, and I'm never touching it again.
It suffered the death of the sequel. Same thing that the Division's doing. Division 1, a lot of people liked. Then they came out with the Division 2, and it's practically dead. There's a very dedicated community. Don't get me wrong. Same with Destiny 2. There's an extraordinarily dedicated community of, I think, a couple million players actively. So they're making their money off of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not a cultural success, and it pretty much dead to growth.
But the reason why you had that initial base launch is because the first game was so good.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
the first game wasn't that good and didn't have that many people loving the game, it would not have been a failure.
I completely agree. I think that's a very fine stance to take. I won't disagree with that.
But you would say it's still the wrong choice for the BAFTAs made the wrong choice though.
I understand the choice.
Okay.
But I definitely think there were better games that year.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me because I still think I think Dark Souls 2 is the better game, but
that's fair.
But it's so hard to do that with an MMO.
I don't think that I would have picked Dragon Age Inquisition in 2014.
No shot for me.
Looking back, I can see it. I can understand the choice, and I'm pretty fine with it because there's a lot I love from the game. I just personally would have picked, I think, Alien Isolation. I don't think
the rare horror game pick.
I don't think Shadow of Mordor. Yeah, I don't think Shadow of Mordor deserved it, but
if we're being honest in terms of like if we were to count hours played as a criteria, I think Mario Kart might sweep everything. Though I guess that if we're counting, we wouldn't count Deluxe in that, and then that'd be a lot less because like no one owned a Wii U.
I put a frick ton of hours in Titanfall. And I put a frick ton of hours in Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. I think I played through that game 3 times.
How long is it?
Like 42 hours.
Nice.
I think I did. That's if you're not speedrunning. You're just completing it.
Yeah.
Which I think I did 3 times.
Cool.
So, yeah, on sheer hours, I think Shadow of Mordor gets that for me. But
yeah, well, I'm talking about like on a global level. And individually, it was Smash 4 for me for sure.
That's
and it came out in November.
Yeah.
But, that's the Smash guy in me.
Well, okay, so BAFTA's fine. You think they got it right.
I think they did.
I personally say all 3 of them got it wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because we're adults and we can do that.
Only sometimes. I mean, it's tough because when I think about the reason why we're choosing the best game from 2014 and look with the hindsight, in mind. And I do think even with hindsight in mind, like Destiny 2 is a flop. I think Destiny 1,
Yeah, that's completely fair.
Destiny 1 might have been the best game that came out that year. I think, and again, we've talked about it, the criteria bit so much, but it's like, do I think, because we say best, and I was like, well, Dark Souls 2 might be a better game. Well, what do you mean by that? Yada, yada.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I think, it's tough. Because then I'm like, well, then maybe Dark Souls 2 is actually my real pick.
I really liked Alien Isolation, and then it led into, it was called Prey? What was it?
I mean,
something like that.
Prey exists as a game. Was that actually from Alien Isolation?
I think it was inspired by.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And I love Prey.
$1. I got that for $1.
I got it for like $8. But yes, I really like Prey. I really like Alien Isolation. I think they are phenomenal games. I think Alien Isolation might very well deserve Game of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're crazier than me saying Destiny for that. I don't think so, but I do really love the way that they did the audio stuff in that game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Got to give it up.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that was our Game of the Year segment. Would you like me to tell you about a couple other news in non-game related things?
Yeah, hit me with something
So
about not video games.
First thing, I have finally gone and watched the entirety of The Incredibles 2.
Too bad, man. That sucks.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, really?
I enjoyed the movie.
You like Screenslaver?
Slaver.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. No, I thought the villain was kind of lame. But
I think the family dynamic is what people like about that
yeah,
movie
it was
the
so
most.
fun. It was so fun. I enjoyed it. Edna taking care of the baby. It was great. I just want to bring it up because I finally got around to watching it fully. I've watched parts of it.
How much is Frozen in that movie? I forget.
Frozen?
Frozone.
Yeah. He's in it
Frozone.
a decent amount. So he's in it in the opening scene,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in it in the ending scene, but he's not in it for the entire middle section.
I like Frozone.
Well, he has one like little splot in the middle where he tells Bob he needs to take the baby somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, not that much Frozone. They could totally do a Disney Plus spin-off show about Frozone.
They could if they would be willing to pay Samuel L. Jackson the fees he'd want for it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Another note for any of you fans of Warhammer, they have Amazon has relented and decided to give Cavill full creative rights.
I mean, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Amazon to budge.
I didn't expect it either. They had until the middle of December to make a choice, and I think it was like 6 days ago or something like that.
Yeah, so they didn't. I mean, they dragged their feet.
They
but they didn't
really
even
drag their feet.
I mean, they didn't go to the deadline.
I think they saw the massive flop that was Rings of Power Season 2, and which I'm shocked they went through with it, but good on them for trying.
I think they started, I believe, before the first season even came out.
I think they did. And it's still crazy to me that, well, I understand why they didn't cut their losses. I think they spent $900 million on the shooting and marketing of it.
Give me some of that.
Which is basically $1 billion show.
I just need 1 milli. Just give me 1 milli of that. Why does it have to go to that show?
like that is bonkers. That I think it is the most expensive TV series ever produced. I think it's actually the most expensive.
And
piece
people were
of
upset about the
media.
orcs in that season, right?
Oh, they're upset about a lot of things.
Okay.
There's.
Did you watch it?
I have watched the.
Do you hate watch it?
I didn't hate watch the whole thing. I hate watched parts of it, and I decided I would just watch reviewers I trust. Which basically you just watch a whole lot of small clips strung together that you realize what the show's about. The struggle that I have with how they did it is it looks great. Like, don't get me wrong, but they rewrote the lore, stuff that shouldn't be too hard to follow because it's written out already. And then they rewrote it. And then they not only rewrote it, they changed characters, they added characters, they they gender swapped and race swapped characters for no reason other than they wanted to. Which is just like, if you're gonna create a show based off of media that exists, I understand taking creative liberties where those liberties are allowed, right? Character gets put in a coma for a week, right? You are allowed to then extrapolate what happens during that week, right? But this is all detailed to the year. Like, you can go into Tolkien's work and you can find the exact day, on the calendar day, that these things happened. Like, it is detailed out. The man was a literary genius. He created unique languages for his books, right? Mm-hmm. And they threw it all out. Like, it all exists, and they throw it all out. Stuff that was supposed to take centuries, like Sauron's Rise, was the course of, like, I think a couple months in the show. Which was like, he's supposed to go from this scene where he's uniting the orc tribes or whatever, and then he gets backstabbed and betrayed. And he's supposed to take over a century to reform a body and everything else. No, he falls down the mountain, and there's a couple days go by where he's this big black tar sludge thing, until a wagon rolls by and runs over his sludgy body, and he comes up and he kills the wagon driver, and he's back. Okay. And it's like, this was supposed to take about a century, right?
That's so interesting. Like, I don't get the reasoning for it, because I feel like at this point, companies and executives should be aware that people will notice that.
Yeah, I think and mind you, I am not on this whole, like, it's just woke, whatever crap, right? Mm-hmm. But they made Galadriel, the main character, right? She's not supposed. So okay,
Again,
so
I haven't watched
sorry,
Lord
yes.
of the Rings.
So
But
Galadriel,
I'm nodding.
yes.
Don't worry.
Galadriel is the
yes.
like main elf lady from the series.
Okay. Yes.
In this, they basically
Because elves are old.
Yes,
Yeah. That
Yep.
makes sense.
And so in this, they basically make her a warrior instead of the person who's supposed to be developing into a queen, whatever. And she becomes the main character, which she's not in this series for the books. And they also make Celebrimbor, who is the ring forger. He forges the rings for men. They make him into a really whiny little snot guy who's trying to do the right thing, but he's been manipulated by Sauron. The timeline's wrong. So he's making the wrong rings for the wrong people in the timeline. And then, now I'm blanking on his name. The main king who's supposed to, anyway.
I can help.
Yes.
Anyway,
they make him really wimpy, and he's supposed to be leading the expedition, which is supposed to happen anyway. But then Galadriel usurps his like leadership of the party, which is super uncanon and unlike her. And
okay.
then the fight scenes. Oh, this is now forget the lore.
Aren't the fight scenes like cool? That's like the only thing they have.
They look nice. Okay. But the difference between like Lord of the Rings fight scenes and then this one, every action in a Lord of the Rings fight scene is supposed to mean something. Okay. Now I'll take one of the most egregious examples here, but mind you, most of the examples are similar to this. So the orcs are raiding a town. Okay. This elf comes out and okay, whatever, right? Normal. But the classic big orc now steps forward. He's gonna fight him one-on-one, right? Now they're looting the town, just killing everybody, everything else. But this one sees him, and for some reason there's a special moment shared between them. And they decide they're gonna duke it out. But this orc doesn't want to kill him, apparently. No good reason why not. So he's gonna throw him through a fence. He's then gonna walk up to him so he can throw him through another fence. Why not kill him? Who knows? He wants to prolong the fight for some reason. He gets stabbed with a dagger, okay? The orc, instead of taking it out and killing him, pulls it out, laughs at it, throws it away, throws the elf again.
Through a fence?
No, into the side of a well.
Okay.
But it's one of those things where it's like none of this orc's actions make sense other than to prolong the fight so someone can come help him.
So, I mean, but initially you were saying the fights mean something.
Well, okay, so the reason why I say that is if you look at Lord of the Rings, there's the fight between so Boromir gets killed, right, at the end. So Boromir tries to take the ring from Frodo, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he almost does it, but then the orcs attack. And he's pulled out of his sort of trance as he's trying to take the ring from him. And he feels guilt and shame over trying to take the ring from Frodo. And so what he does is he sacrifices himself against like this band of 5 or 6 orcs that are coming. And he slays 2 or 3, they injure him, whatever, and it's him versus an Uruk-hai who's come with, who's like the elite of them. A hybrid man-orc that Saruman made. And in that fight scene, it's prolonged, but because of good decisions in the fight. So things like Boromir swings at him, it's blocked by this orc shield, and the orc smashes back the sword, he drops it. It's choreographed to that every single blow is intentional.
Okay.
It's like how when you watch Star Wars, they're aiming for their lightsabers instead of the body. Mm-hmm. In Lord of the Rings, they aim for the body, and it's choreographed that they're fighting to kill each other, not some fancy stick twirling.
I thought you were gonna go the route of like, all the fights had like metaphorical meanings.
No.
Okay.
I mean, an action taken in a choreographed fight is taken.
So the choreography makes sense.
Yes.
Versus
a
plot
spectacle.
Armor.
Yeah. A plot armor spectacle.
Yeah, I get it. Okay. That makes sense. You know, I feel like a lot of the times, well, I can't speak too much about the choreography, but I feel like a lot of the decisions is a director being like, I'm going to make this better. I'm gonna put my spin on it, or I'm gonna make it better. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, well, all right. So here's my pity or plight for them.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, I think you can't do that because the fans know and they're going to get onto you
Yep.
and you're going to be ostracized and all that stuff. But on the other hand, you can't really make original stuff anymore. You can't really get the funding for it.
Well-
So really the only way you can express yourself is by grabbing an IP, be like, I'm going to try and do this with it and try to get big from it.
Yeah, this
So-
leads into the talk that I think we've had the talk before about the death of the mid-budget movie.
Yes.
And I think we could totally do a full episode on like the height of the mid-budget movie to the death of it. But long story short there, right, is you have a lot of these phenomenal directors who have been given the leeway to create new things, right? But they only got to that point because they had successful mid-budget movies where these production companies were like, yeah, go ahead, make something new. We'll give you some money for it, that sort of thing. It's not viable anymore. You can't make money off of a mid-budget movie.
I will say, I've been watching more movies. I've more movies than I have in a very long time. I've watched The Hitman's Bodyguard,
Yeah.
featuring Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson,
Yep.
and Pirates of the Caribbean 1, which
Yep.
I'd never watched before.
Really?
Yeah, I can see. Well, I don't. Was that a mid-budget movie?
It was.
It was the first
it
one.
was high budget for the time.
For the time. So it'd be cheap. Movie
It
now.
was definitely a gamble when they did it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Pirates 1.
I love Pirates 1. I love Pirates 1, 2, and 3. It gets really bad at
I see what, like, Jack Sparrow just makes the movie 100%.
Yes, is 100% Jack Sparrow.
I bet he just carries all three. I bet, if I had to guess.
He carries all three, and then if you like the other ones, it's because of his character.
Yeah, I mean the side. So I watched Pirates 5 first. That was the first Pirates movie I watched. I almost thought during Pirates 1 that I was watching Pirates 5 because I was like, all of these scenes are basically the exact same thing that happened to the side characters in Pirates 5.
Yep.
But it's in Pirates 1.
Yep. No, it absolutely is. Everything after, so Pirates 1, 2, 3 is a trilogy. Mm-hmm. They're all the same story, continues off each other. Pirates 4 is called On Stranger Tides. It's a mermaid tale, and it's got a lot less of Jack Sparrow, and the characters do not carry it.
Yeah.
That's a really tough one. Pirates 5 was the last one.
Yeah, and it was Jack focused.
Yep.
But I feel like, there's the guy and the girl.
Yep.
Side characters.
Yep.
That like feel like they can't be in a relationship together, and then they end up getting together at the end.
Yep.
And specifically in both movies, there's the scene in both of them where they get stranded on an island, and it's like Jack and the woman character get stranded on the island in both movies.
Yeah. It's fun in the first one. The tough part is because you watch 5 and then you watch 1.
Yeah, 5 is my point of reference.
Yeah,
here. So I felt like I was watching 5 again.
You really should have watched 1 first.
Because 5's about zombie pirates too.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep. Exact same concept. It is completely rehashed.
And it's because of an artifact or whatever, and it's because it's so weird.
I know.
I mean, I definitely didn't watch it right, but it gave. I mean, and that it might have. I think I have the most unique perspective on it in that sense.
You have a very unique perspective. You watched 5 and thought, I want to watch the rest of them.
I didn't think that. It was like, oh, well, let's watch a movie. Pirates 1. Why not?
Yeah, I think Pirates 3 at World's End is really, really good.
Well, if it's actually a trilogy, like you're saying,
Yeah.
I thought that they were like episodic movies or something like that. And that meant in beginning, end, don't care.
One was very self-contained because they didn't know if it would continue.
Yes.
2 definitely leads into 3.
Okay.
And so, yeah, 100%. I think watching 1, 2, and 3 together is a phenomenal experience. I really enjoy it. 2, I think, is the weakest of all 3. And I might be tinted because... No, I'm not tinted because 3 has so many good scenes.
Okay.
You've got Davy Jones playing the organ with his tentacles. And by the way, the VFX in...
They're pretty good. They would pass nowadays.
So good. They pass better than many movies nowadays.
Well, because they overwork their VFX artists.
No, it was back when they had passion.
Yeah. Passion tax.
Passion
That's why we're
tax.
getting those strikes. That's why we're getting those. That's why
now
we're getting those
nowadays
VFX artists, and that's why we're not getting paid to make this podcast. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. I appreciate you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Mike, you got anything you want to add?
Help us get monetized. Like and subscribe.
See you on the other side of the passion tax. Bye.
Bye.